are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. 27 women are CEOs of Fortune 1000 companies. Now, I know that number sounds small, but let me tell you, that number didn't exist a few years ago. So we're now taking our power in these powerful CEO positions. Facebook, the #1 social media platform in the world with 1 billion users, is led by a woman. Facebook CEO Sheryl Sandberg is a woman. So we're taking the space in business. And speaking of business, let's give it up for Oprah. Oprah was the first African-American woman billionaire. So women, we are rising to our power on the labor front, on the business front. And when it comes to business, because let's talk money for a minute, when it comes to business, last year in the United States, women businesses generated $1.4 trillion. I said it with a T, $trillion. So when I tell you it's our time, and when I tell you it's our turn, I mean it. Now, I also want you to walk away with the message that anything is possible. Anything is possible, and it doesn't matter where you start. And how do I know this? Is because I'm a living example of how my life, anything has been possible. So since I'm among friends, I'm going to share a little bit about my story. So you heard from Josefa a little bit about what I'm doing now. I'm a professor, I teach at the graduate level, I'm an author, I'm a commissioner, and so forth and so on. And I'm not saying that to brag, I'm just giving you some context of who I am today. But let me tell you where I started. Let me tell you where I started, because I am half Mexican, half Native American Cherokee. I grew up in Los Angeles. I grew up poor. I grew up surrounded by gang violence. I grew up surrounded by drugs. I grew up surrounded by a sense of hopelessness. And as a result, I have an older brother that made different choices than I made. And today, as I speak to you, he's looking at the inside of a prison cell. He's in prison. And I'm here speaking to you, beautiful people, because I made different choices in my life. So you can make good choices for you, no matter where you start from. So I grew up in a violent household. My parents were physically abusive to each other. I can't say my dad was physically abusive to my mom, because my mom instigated a lot. So they actually divorced when I was a young child, and I was happy they divorced, because I was over all that drama and violence. So when I was 17, I graduated from high school, but my mom's pattern continued, so she was physically violent with me. When I was 17, just graduated from high school, she beat me up, so I left home. So I said, I don't need to live like this. So at 17, I had to fend for myself. And let me tell you, it was not easy. So the summer between graduating from high school and going to college, I actually was raped. I was raped, and I didn't used to share that about my story, but the reason I talk about it today is because statistically, in the United States, 1 out of every 5 women will be raped in her lifetime. And that's not acceptable. Now with men, 1 out of every 71 men will be abused sexually. And the reason I even share it, something so personal, because like I said, I didn't talk about it for a long time because I was embarrassed. I had a lot of shame and guilt around that. But I talk about it because I'm free of that now. It does not own me. I own my life. But it left me with a sense of not feeling safe. So I went on to college. And so, because I didn't have this feeling of safe, what did I do? I married the first guy that came along. So what happens in our life? Patterns continue. So I found myself in a physically abusive marriage, which I stayed in that marriage for 13 years. And the only reason I finally got out of that relationship, and I have to admit this, wasn't even for me, it was for my son. So I have one son, and I realized that if I stayed in that relationship, he would think that that behavior was normal, and he would continue the pattern. And I didn't want that for him. So I'm happy to say today's his birthday. Happy birthday to my son. And he's grown now, and he's an amazing man. As a matter of fact, in January, I went to the Women's March. Anybody do the Women's March?
Yes.
In Los Angeles. Woo! There was 750,000 people that came together. And my son, on his own, decided he wanted to go participate in the Women's March for women's rights and equality. And I realized at that moment that I made the right decision so many years ago because I was able to raise a man that respects women's rights and diversity.
That's right.
So I'm very proud that I made that decision to leave. But back to my story. So it wasn't always bad news. I'm giving you the bad stuff. But let me share with you the good news because I'm a positive person. I was the first person in my family to go to college. I had my master's degree by the time I was 23. And as an adult, I got to take a class, a leadership class at Harvard University. So let me tell you, when I was walking on the campus of Harvard, I was looking around in awe and it started to snow. And as it started to snow, I started to cry. Because at that moment, I realized, yes, anything is possible. So anything is possible in your life. Doesn't matter where you start. So you might be sitting there thinking, Cynthia, you're asking me to rise to my power. How do I do that? Well, let me give you some recommendations. The first thing is you have to believe in yourself. You gotta believe in yourself. And a lot of us, everybody has insecurities, and those insecurities happen because we compare ourselves to other people. Well, when you compare yourself to other people, let me tell you, it's a no-win game. Because each and every one of us is a unique individual, perfect just the way we are. But a lot of times we're not happy with that. We want something that we don't have. The people that have curly hair want straight hair. The people that have straight hair want curly hair. People that have brown eyes want blue eyes. The people that have blue eyes want green eyes. And it goes on and on and on. But I'm here to tell you that you are unique, individual, perfect just the way you are. So be happy with yourself. Next recommendation I want to tell you is walk through your fear.
That's right.
Ooh, fear is a powerful emotion. Let me tell you. And fear is a normal emotion if you're in a situation where your life is in danger. But guess what? Most of the fear we experience is all in our head. It's all in our head. Get out of your head. And fear comes in a lot of shapes and sizes. There's fear of failure, fear of success, fear of not fitting in, fear of being alone, and the list goes on and on. When I think of fear, I think of a young woman that was fearless. Now, we all have heard the story of Malala, right? Malala was a young woman in Pakistan that stood up for what she believed in. The Taliban came in and said, women, girls, not even women, girls, you can no longer go to school. You cannot get an education. And so she stood up, and she was, 15 at the time? And she says, no, I am stronger than my fear. She stood up and said, girls have the right to go to school. So what happened? The Taliban shot her with the intention of killing her. And fortunately, she didn't die. And when she was 17, she became the youngest person to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. And she's now 19. So if this young girl can walk through her fears, we can walk through our fears that live in our mind. So, we ready to walk through our fears?
Yes.
I know I am. The next recommendation I want to give you is, and I talked about that in my life, education. Make sure that you become a lifelong learner. Education is key, not only to get the education, the foundation, but through life, because I like to say life is a journey, not a destination. Throughout your entire life, make sure that you're learning. The other thing that's so important is to find a support network. Find a support network. Your friends, your family, co-workers, teachers, mentors, your support network that will tell you the truth, that will give you unconditional love, and to be there when you need somebody, because we all need a shoulder to lean on. And the last is, really, make sure that you follow your dreams and you live your life. Not the life that somebody else wants for you, the life that you want for yourself. So ladies, are we feeling the power?
Yes.
Okay, ladies, are we feeling the power?
Yeah.
So now for those of you that are not quite feeling it yet, I want to help you out. So now we've come to the interactive portion. So I want everybody to stand up. Rise up, 'cause we're